Welcome back to Hot Flashes and Cool Topics. Today we are talking to three-time Emmy nominee and 15-time world champion arm wrestler, actress Dot Marie Jones. Welcome to the show, Dot.
Thank you so much.
Is it okay if I call you Dot, or would you prefer Dot Marie?
No, that's just for SAG. Dot
Oh,
is fine.
Oh, okay.
well, Dot, I appreciate you coming back on. I know we had some technical difficulties. We were talking about how you became a 15-time world champion and how you kind of fell into it at a festival.
Yeah.
Could you kind of start there and keep going from that?
I entered a small competition in Northern California in a little fall festival. A friend of mine talked me into it because we were just at this, festival and stuff. And so I won. And one of the women that I beat, she was a world champion in the middleweight class, because this tournament specifically only had one women's class. And so her name was Lori Cole, and Lori, we talked afterwards, and she said, you need to come to Petaluma, which is where they held the world championships in California, up in Northern California. Petaluma's up north of San Francisco, about an hour or so. And so I found out all the information and went up there and won my first world title at 19. And I was like hooked because the trophies were beautiful, and you didn't win a lot of money, but you won, depending on the tournament. Like at that fall festival, I had won I think like $150 or $100 or something like that, which was a lot of money for a 19-year-old kid. And it was crazy. And so I was like, okay, I could get into this. So I won the world title in Petaluma, and then met so many people in this crazy sport that started going to a bunch of different tournaments throughout the years, and I kept doing very well, and just ended up winning in my time, won 15 world titles and several pro-ams, and I was hooked. And I loved it. And it was amazing because it was so much fun.
What I love so much too about that is how you say that the Lori took you, even though you beat her, she wanted to lift you up and get you into other things. And I just love how that is something about women helping women.
Yeah.
How did you, have you found that to be the case in the different sports that you played?
Some, and like Lori, I mean, she's in a total different weight class up in Petaluma, but you know what? Regardless of that, she's so sweet. And talking about her now, I need to get in touch with her. We haven't spoken a while, but she's incredible, and always kind, and always there to help if I needed anything, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. There is a lot of different techniques, and with I was just using strength because I had been working out for so long to strengthen my lower back, and with shot put and track and field, I was very lucky and I wouldn't say, I don't know if gifted is a word, but I built up that strength. It wasn't just from the get-go. So so I competed until, God, I won 15 world titles. That was my goal. As I was going along, I started having shoulder pain and stuff. And I was like, oh God, how am I going to do this? And so I set a goal of 15, and I got there, and I retired and actually went back the next year and won the pro-ams because I missed it so much. I loved the competition.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and I think that is so amazing too, because with competition, that's where things can get a little tricky, as far as friendships and competition. And that's
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. In that aspect.
I want to make sure that the listeners, because I don't know how much of the technical difficulty we had, but you went from 5'6" to 6'1" in the 8th grade and actually fractured your own back. And that's why you had to strengthen. Yeah. What was that like? I mean, I can't even imagine the pain of growing that many inches in a year.
it was horrible, and it was like a lot of people will get the pain in their knees, that Slaughter. You'll have those little knobby things right below your kneecaps, and I never had that. Mine was all in my lower back, so I'd get up every morning just about crying because my back hurt so bad, and I'd straighten myself up in the doorway and then go stand in the shower until my back warmed up. And that's what got me, lifting and stuff, is or lifting weights and all, is to strengthen my lower back so it wasn't so excruciating. So,
Yeah,
all of that totally helped me. So who knows, if I hadn't grown that much, I don't know what I'd be doing.
it is. It's amazing. You were talking earlier, you said something about, I wouldn't say it was a gift. And we were speaking, we had a conference here in Nashville about almost a month ago, where we were talking about perseverance versus talent. And every
Mm,
one of the women on that panel said perseverance seemed to be the more important thing. You can have some talent, but it sounds like you had a lot of perseverance.
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of perseverance.
So
Yeah.
Right.
you went to college for free from shot putting, if I'm correct, which is
I
amazing.
went out of high school. I went to Modesto Junior College
Okay.
for 2 years, and then I got a full ride to Fresno State for track and field. I could have
Okay.
played basketball as well. I got a lot of offers in high school and stuff for all over the country. I was very blessed to have that because I was really good at basketball and track and field, but I just wanted to focus on, the track and field part of it. And so that's what I did. So ended up going to Fresno State. Yeah.
Wow.
So
And
you went from, I'm sorry, I just wanted to finish.
that's okay.
You went from Fresno State with track and field to criminology, working with juvenile probation, to
Mhm.
acting. How did that happen?
So
That's like,
I never in my life thought I would be doing what I'm doing today. And I love it. And I wouldn't change a thing. And in my heart of hearts, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I had gone to, I started taking criminology classes because I liked it in junior college. So when I got to Fresno State, I majored in criminology and got a job at juvenile hall. But I was still, after college, I was still competing in track and field. And I also still competed in weightlifting. I would do exhibition like deadlifting because the maximum weight I ever did, and it was all natural. Believe me, I got tested all the time because I was so damn big. I was always one of the women to get picked for drug testing during college. It was still called
Oh,
random.
oh,
Yeah. And so
yeah.
I was like, I'll test every single time. I don't, how you don't grow to, my tallest, I was 6'4". And I said, you don't get that tall by doing steroids. And so I got tested all the time. So I would still do the deadlifting exhibitions, and I would do them. They'd have me come in and do it at like bodybuilding contest. And so I made friends because I'd see the same bodybuilders at these certain contests. And one of them, and it's so crazy that we're talking about this because just this last week, she got a hold of me and I hadn't talked to her in years. Um, and I feel bad about that because she's the reason I'm here. Shirley Eason. Shirley and her husband at that time, we had met at a bodybuilding exhibition because Shirley was competing in bodybuilding. She's incredible and she's tall too, like me. And Shirley was an incredible bodybuilder. So Shirley went on to do and one day I was still working juvenile hall, and I was in the process. I was getting tired of the hall and the kids and stuff. And so I was going to go on to adult probation. And I was going through the process of that. And Shirley calls me and she said, Dot, they're looking for big women, big, strong women for a new show. It's kind of like, but it's called, and where the people on, they compete against the warriors, which was us, for their knighthood, that type of deal. It was set in like a medieval time setting and stuff. It was really cool and so much fun. So I thought, okay, what the heck? I don't have anything to lose. So I found out, called Carol O'Leary, who was the casting director. Shirley gave me her number and stuff. I'll never forget her either. Um, Found out all the information. I thought, like I just said, I have nothing to lose. I can always go back to, probation. So came down to LA, auditioned. There was probably 200 and some, close to 300 women auditioning for these 4 spots. So I went back, or I auditioned. The first day was physical agility, and at that time I was very quick for my size and strong and all that. So I did very well. So they said, well, tonight by 8:30 we're going to call you back for if we want you to come back tomorrow for a cold read. And I'm like thinking, what the hell is a cold read? Because I knew nothing. I knew nothing about acting. Had never taken a class. I had taken one theater class but it was just where we sat in an auditorium and listened to this teacher's lecture us at Fresno State, and I could not stand him. He was so disrespectful to the students. I thought, okay, I would never go into that field, and I just was blown away by how he was trash, and like talking about kids that we had to write papers and stuff, and he would just like blow his nose on a piece of paper, one of the kids reports, and stick it to the wall. Thought he was really funny, and I thought he was the biggest ass in the world. And I'm like, okay, I never want anything to do with that. So I always in my head thought, I wonder what it would be like to do acting or get into this type of business. So anyway, cut to, I came down to LA, I auditioned, knew nothing about cold reads. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, since we're warriors, I was so stupid. I said, okay, do we read in somewhere cold? I'm thinking that because we're warriors, I don't know if we're reading in the snow, So I didn't want to sound so naive. So that night I got a call and I said, we'd like you to come back tomorrow for a cold read. And I said, without trying to sound stupid, I said, okay, so what would somebody wear to this cold read? What would I wear? And they said, well, wear your best warrior outfit. That didn't help much either. So I just remember I went out and I got a red tank top and I got a gray sweatshirt and cut it up, and so you could see the red through it. And then I had these workout pants, happened to have them with me. They were zebra print. And so I just made up this, and I went in the next day and did the cold read, and they said, okay, well, we'll let you know. And so I was like, okay. So I went back to Fresno, and 2 weeks later, I got a call and they said, how would you like to be a warrior?
Wow.
And so I was like, oh my God. It was amazing. So from that, I was learning the whole time because I didn't know anything. And they said, we're going to have you come down and we're going to get ready and do the wardrobe and all that stuff. And then training, we trained, I think, for 2 weeks before we shot the pilot. And they said, after we shoot the pilot, we have to sell the pilot. And then they ended up selling it, and they sold 26 episodes. And so I came back, and I never had more fun in my whole life. And I'm like, I want to do this.
And so then from there, I mean, look, look for what everything that you've done. I mean, from there on the shows that you've been on, and then also Broadway as well. I mean, how
Rock of
did that?
Ages.
Yeah, Rock of Ages. That is amazing because you don't really
How did that happen?
Yeah, how did it lead from there?
How did it lead to Rock of Ages?
Yes.
Years ago, when Bridget and I had gone to Vegas, we were at the Venetian or the Palazzo, and they said they had a new show that had just opened, and they offered us free tickets. So I'm like, oh, cool. So we went, and it was Rock of Ages, and it's totally the music that we love, the 70s rock. And we were like, this is incredible. 70s, 80s rock, actually. And so every time we went to Vegas, I mean, there were some weekends we'd go to Vegas and we'd see it twice. That's how much we loved it. And when you can there's so many shows in Vegas, but we knew we'd have a good time. So we're like, oh, let's just go. And so I think we saw it like 23, 25 times in Vegas. And one of the first times we went, Bridget said, I think it would be hilarious if you played Dennis Dupree, the bar owner. And he talks like this. He's kind of a rough guy, like that. And so we had gone to 2020 was such a crazy year. And we had gone to New York for a screening for this short film that I'd done. And also, my birthday was that weekend, January 4th. And I had been having some health problems, and I'd been to the doctor several times, and I was told I had adult onset asthma. And for women, we got to be our own advocate, because we were in Vegas and then we went to New York for the show and stuff. And I would walk like 50 feet, and I would, when you go outside and you breathe cold air and that
Yes.
burning in your chest,
Yes.
that's what I feel. And so we were in New York, and I was having that problem again. I'm like, it was so dang cold. I was like wondering, was part of it the cold? And the doctors, these two female doctors that I had seen, had prescribed me really strong inhalers, which unfortunately was only making my condition worse instead of helping me. And we went and we could have gone to see anything in New York. And a bunch of our friends that we had made in Vegas in the Rock of Ages show were in New York. So we said, let's go to the Rock of Ages. So we went to Rock of Ages. And I saw that the casting director for the Rock of Ages, I had known him because they had approached me to do a potential play when I was doing, but I couldn't because of filming. And so when I got home, I sent him an email. I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that we didn't get to do. And it's my dream to play Dennis Dupree." And so that was on January 7th, I think I sent that. And actually it was on the morning of January 9th, because we didn't come home. Well, January 9th, later that day, after I'd sent the email and stuff, Bridget and I were setting up for Christmas decorations, or taking down our Christmas decorations rather. And I just wasn't feeling great. And Bridget goes, "You're going to our cardiologist, because I don't like this." And Bridget used to be a cardiology nurse. And I was having a heart attack.
Oh
And
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and so much for asthma. And I went to the doctor with Bridge, and Dr. Wynn, who's Bridget also prior, like 4 years prior, had a stroke. And so Dr. Wynn was our cardiologist, and we both were going to him because of this, for her and for also my family history. And so anyway, the night that we went and saw Dr. Wynn, or the day, he had set up to do an angiogram the next morning. And I said, I got, excuse me, I got to use the restroom. So I walked out of his office, and Bridget and he were still in there while he was setting up for this for the next morning. And I came back from the restroom, which was maybe 25 feet away, and I was rubbing my chest. And he said, "Just walk into the restroom. It's doing that." And Bridget says, "Please put her in the hospital." And he said, "Oh, absolutely." He said, "I think, and so was still to do blood work and stuff to check your troponin. And so I went to the hospital. Bridge took me to the hospital, and my troponin, which shows, whether you're having a heart attack or in your cardiac arrest, it went from 0.14 to 4 in 3 hours, which meant I was in the middle of a heart attack. And so they rushed me down to the cath lab, and thank God, because I was having a widowmaker, and only 9%, 8 or 9% lived through that. And my, it's tough. It was, my artery, damn, sorry.
That's
No,
okay.
take your time.
Take your
please.
time. Yeah.
My artery was 99% blocked.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh.
So Dr. Wynn was able to open it up and put a stent in. I only had one stent. And by the grace of God, Bridget made me go, because I wouldn't have lived.
I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When you say about women being their advocates, we have heard that so much lately. I mean, we just spoke to another doctor, a lady that was a doctor, that a similar thing happened to her mother, and that she wasn't being listened in her 40s, and she wasn't being listened to. And and then with your wife, with Bridget, you said
Thank
she had a
goodness
stroke.
she
Thank God for her doing that. And then she's had a major medical issue as well. And I mean, it
And
sounds like,
hers was due to a PFO, the hole in your heart that we're all born with, and it closes as soon as you take that first breath, supposedly.
Mhm.
And so she had her first one was a major stroke, and then I had to make the choice whether she got the TPA, which is the stroke medicine. It's called a clot eater. I've never been so scared to make the wrong choice in my life, because they said um, the chances, if it's an aneurysm, she'll bleed out and die if they give her that medicine. If it's a stroke, it'll eat the clot. And I thank God I made that choice, because I was like, what the hell do I say? I have 3 stepdaughters. I would die if they, if I made the wrong choice. And I told the doctor, I said, I don't even know how to make this decision. I want to make the right decision. He said, if it was my wife, I'd do the TPA. And I said, go. And they had it already set up before the ambulance even got there, because of
yeah.
the, coming in with stroke symptoms. So
And,
she ended up having another mild stroke a few months later, and then they finally did the closure, and they were able to close the hole in the heart.
and
And
how
so
have both
anyway,
of you been? How have both of you been since that time?
Bridget has a few residual things from like memory, like some things she doesn't remember. And I said, that's okay. It's all brand new then. As
mhm.
long as you remember you love me and you're here and you want to be here, then I'm good. So, but we've, I just can't believe what we've been through. And it'll be 13 years that we've been together in December.
Wow.
And it's like, wow. So, but yeah, it's like we saved each other in a sense because of what we went through. And it's
Right.
crazy. Yeah.
And probably brought you
But yeah,
guys so much
definitely.
closer together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. But so the long story longer is, on January 9th, I had the heart attack. And so I was home resting, and I had sent Duncan that message. Duncan Stewart was the casting director in New York, and Bridget made me lay in bed all week. So I was laying in bed, and on like 3 days, I came home the next morning after the procedure, and like a day or two later, I get a ding, and I say, "Oh, it's Duncan." So I open up this text message, and I just started bawling. And Bridget's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I couldn't even read it. And it said, "Hey, Dad, it's so great to hear from you." I saw it was Duncan. He said, "I missed you guys. Next time you and Bridget are out here, let's have dinner. Also, I have an offer out to your agents for you to play Dennis Dupree in New York's Rock of Ages."
Oh my
So I was
gosh.
That's
like,
incredible.
oh my God. And I'm like thinking, how the hell am I going to do this? I just had a heart attack. So that was my physical therapy, because in 2 weeks, 2 weeks after that, I think I went to New York, or not even 2 weeks. And then I had to learn the script and the choreography and everything. And I learned that in 2 weeks. And then I opened in New York. It was an off-Broadway production, and it was in February.
Wow.
Oh man. Okay, that's perseverance for sure.
Right? I
That's
know.
oh
That's total
man.
your perseverance, huh?
Yes. Oh my
Wow. And it's
gosh.
just so frightening because women don't realize that heart disease is the #1 killer for women.
Yeah.
And we don't feel it the same way that men do when you're having a
And
heart attack.
maybe, and like the symptoms that I have, maybe 100 women won't have those symptoms, but they'll have different ones.
Right.
That
And so it's just, pay attention. And it's, oh my God, I'm so lucky.
yes, yeah. And just to have the person in your life to tell you, because
Yeah.
we all know, we all do this. We all put things off, like saying,
Make
well, that's
excuses.
probably nothing. It's probably nothing. That's going to go away. And
Yeah.
you need that person just to push you, thank
And
Well,
God.
we're
Yeah.
glad she did because
Yes.
me
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And I always say now, especially now, you can't wish it away. There's
Right.
so many things we can't wish away.
That is a,
Yeah.
but then, so with this singing, that you're,
Yeah.
did you know you had this singing ability? Was
Well,
that something
isn't
you
there a
did?
story around the big show you were on that kind of took you skyrocketed, that they actually wrote in your part?
Yeah, I had ran into Brad Falchuk at a grocery store, and I had done a show called and or a different show, I should say, that Ryan had done. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, we're just finishing up the first season of that show and this other show that you're talking about." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Write me a part. I want to come work with you guys," because I loved working with them. And he said, "Well, can you sing?" And I said, "Well, I'm no Mariah Carey, but I can carry a tune." And honestly, 2 months later, they contacted my agent and asked what I was doing starting mid-July, that they had written a role for me on that show.
What was it
Th-
And
like?
so
You went on that show, and I mean, everyone knew that show. Everyone still knows that show, and then everyone knew you. What was that
right.
like for such a, your trajectory of popularity just skyrocketed? What was that like for
Oh,
you?
it was crazy. I'm very blessed to have been on that show. It has changed my career tremendously. And my first 3 years on there, I was Emmy nominated, and that changed a lot of things too, where instead of having to audition for certain things, you're offered certain things. And it was truly amazing. And I had never sang on a show, and my first song on there actually was a solo, or no, I had done a thing with Matt Morrison, which was so much fun, and a George Thorogood song. And then you never knew what was coming up until you got the script. And so the script came, and I was like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me." I had a solo, and I don't proclaim to be a singer by any means, and I'm barely an actress. And but it was Jolene, and
Mhm.
I was terrified and so excited. It was unbelievable. And I never met her, but I heard that Dolly liked it, and I'm like, "I'm good. I don't have to sing another song." Dolly Parton said that's all right. And
Yeah.
yeah, because other than Dolly's, my favorite was Miley Cyrus's version of it. And it was so much fun. I mean, it was a lot of work, like 16, 18-hour days, but it was so gratifying, because you don't realize how many people, how I always said, you be careful with words, because you don't know how they'll affect people, and you don't know how it'll come back and affect you. And that show um, was one of the ones that I was blown away. My first couple of seasons on there, the women that I would hear from because of the domestic violence episodes, that they said it gave them strength to leave an abusive partner. And I was like, "Oh my God," I would bawl. I'd sit there and read these messages on Facebook or, Instagram. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'd try to write back to every one of them. And I'm sure I didn't get to all of them, but, just so proud of them. And just, you know what, you take care of you. And so it's like ever since then, like even before that, I've turned down things that I thought were disrespectful to women, and walked away from one that it was a comedian show, and I never have to work with him again. They thought it was so funny, but it was so disrespectful. I'm like, "You know what? I was looking for a job when I got this one. I don't need this crap." I say,
Mhm.
if I'm embarrassed for my family to see something, I'm not doing it.
That is such a good motto. I mean, that is such a good thing to live by, just to live
And
by.
And yeah, you need the money, because people think just because you're on a show. I mean, I was a guest star on that show for 4 seasons before they made me a series regular, and I still didn't get what people thought I got. They think you're a millionaire. I wish. I'm barely a hundredaire now, but you know, it's it. I want to sleep at night, and
Mhm.
I will never do something that's disrespectful.
And that is, and that show, just in so many aspects, did so much for all kinds of people, for domestic
Yeah,
violence, for children that just
Bullying.
bullying,
And you're
you know.
you're a very big advocate for anti-bullying. I know that
absolutely.
you've done a
Mhm.
Yeah.
lot of work with that. Did you what was it like working with people who were supposed to be high school students, but were actually in their 20s, a little bit wild? You were kind of, I can't say you were the parent on the set because you weren't that much older, but what was that set like?
There are good days and bad days. You know, you go in, you do your work, and I mean, I'm still in touch with quite a few of the kids, but I say kids, they're now almost 40. Um,
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not that big of an
yeah.
age difference, but
Yeah.
Oh, I'm old enough to be their mama or grandma. Um, but just, I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of work, and it was fun, and it was rewarding. And I know that I got the best things I could have gotten out of that show, and I believe I put in my best.
Oh, well, we think you did. Definitely. And I
So
think you
sweet.
did. Yeah. No, I
Thank you.
really do. I think that just brought so much another dimension, another whole piece of depth to that show that
Mhm.
your character did. I just,
absolutely.
it was great.
And I think for a lot of us who had kids that were, I mean, my kids are in their 20s, but just kids are in their 20s, they would come sing a song and say, "Oh, look at this song from that show." And we're like, "No, actually, that's a song from the 70s and 80s. It's a remake."
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not
love,
original.
right. I would love how they'd be like, "Isn't this a great song?" And I'm like, "Uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard that for
We
the
know
last
that.
20 years." Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Hilarious.
So you have been consistently working this whole time, and now you've got a little bit of a break time with the strike. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
I 6 weeks ago, um, Tuesday was 6 weeks, I had a total knee replacement on my left leg.
Gosh.
That'll keep you
Oh,
busy.
goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I've prior to that, 6 months ago, 6 and almost 7 months ago now, I have a commercial running, commercial.
I
Yes, we
saw
know.
it. I saw it.
We love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So I thank God because I was like, oh God, I was nervous to have my knee surgery, but with the strike and everything, I talked to Brittany, my agent, and I said, you know, I think I should, and she said, absolutely. And so I did it, and I'm very thankful because the progression of what I'm going through and the rehab has been incredible. And it's like it's a pain. It still hurts a lot, but it's a different kind of pain that the kind that you know is going to go away.
Yes. Mhm.
So yeah, like 3 days before I had surgery, the commercial started running, and I said, "Okay, that's a sign. I'm supposed to have it right now." So,
Oh, I hope that recovery's going well. I have a sister that's getting ready to have it, and I just, I kind of look for what's in store for
mhm.
me, you know?
Ice,
Yeah. Just,
a lot of ice, and
A
mhm.
lot of it.
also too, I have to say something. I was just telling my neighbor because her brother's having it, and I said, if there's a little ice chest and it's if you look up ice chest for post knee surgery, and it's a little square thing. It's got a hose coming off of it, and they call it a bladder. It feeds through this small bag that you wrap around your knee or whatever you have surgery on, and it goes back to the cooler and it circulates this cold, ice cold water. And it's the most. I had one years ago because I've had a total of 13 knee surgeries,
Oh my gosh.
and yeah, being tall is not all that fun. Um,
Mhm.
but it's a lifesaver, and you know it's amazing. And instead of just doing ice bags, and then also too, you can add ice to it. Or what Bridget and I did is we froze, like it can hold 4 water bottles inside it. So we
Oh,
just froze a bunch of water bottles with full of ice, and then we rotate those out, and it's a less mess and a lot more economical to do that than to have to keep buying ice or the ice maker or whatever.
I may have to, I wrote that down, an ice chest for knee surgery. I may have to send her one as a gift.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because,
I'm sure
yeah,
she will appreciate that.
I think she
We
will.
would, because our podcast is called Hot Flashes and Cool Topics, we would be remiss without
Yes.
asking you, how did your menopause experience go? Was it easy transition? Were you
Okay.
struggling?
Mine. Okay. One thing I didn't know, and I found out from my gynecologist, is that the later you start your period, the sooner you go through menopause. Didn't know
I
that.
Oh,
didn't know
wow.
that.
So
Mm.
I don't know if it was because of sports or just because of how I was built. I didn't get my period till I was like 15.
Mm. Mm.
So and it was horrible. I had polyps and stuff, but I never had to have surgeries. They would give me stuff to make them shrink and all this stuff, and it was horrible. I had horrible periods, and I started menopause in my 40s.
Mhm. Yeah.
I Bridget and I talk about it all the time because it would be like a ball of fire in between my shoulder blades, and then it would come up over my head, and it would just be I'd be 1,000 degrees, which was really a pain in the butt when I was working because poor makeup had to come in and powder me and get the almost looked like rosacea on my face, but it was just because I was burning up. And
Mhm.
it was horrible. But I didn't miss my periods not one bit after what I went through. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." I would go through that hot flashes again just to not have them. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And but it probably the hot flashes and stuff lasted probably a few years. But I still have everything so I don't have to do the hormones. So I haven't had to have a hysterectomy or anything. And but oh my God, those hot flashes.
Mhm. I got him horribly. I did. And
Oh, really?
I did. I was 47. Yeah. And, I actually started the peri before that in the 40s, in my early 40s. So yeah, it was bad. Colleen, the hot flash
I
thing
was
wasn't a big thing.
55. Yeah, I
She
was
was
55.
55.
But I have to
Yeah.
say, even though I'm on the other end on post, the hot flashes at night still kind of make me really uncomfortable. They're
Yeah.
not
Right.
horrible, but I'm just like, is it hot in here? And my poor husband's like, no, it's freezing.
Oh my God, how funny.
Yeah.
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 It's
Was
something I think.
did
Go ahead.
Bridget have a bad experience, or was hers, like
She's like 9 years younger than me. So she actually just turned 50 this last year. She had a hysterectomy because of endometriosis, and probably about 10 years ago, maybe, or
oh,
maybe a
okay.
little longer. But they had left her ovaries. So just recently, because of Bridget's mom had passed of breast cancer, and Bridget had what they call type 0
Mm.
or stage 0 of when she had a mammogram on a lump that she had. And so, which means the cells were there, but they hadn't turned into cancer. So she had a double mastectomy. And so she has always been, because of what her mom went through with breast cancer, and then it did go to uterine cancer. And so she was always nervous about them leaving the ovaries in there. And so she had a blood work done, and CA 120, is it CA 125 is one of the blood tests and if it what your numbers are. And so her numbers were up and down, and which is scary because it's one of the markers for ovarian cancer. And so she had her ovaries removed. And it was once she had her ovaries removed, the doctor said, when the doctor took them out, she said, you could even have them start having hot flashes a few hours after surgery.
Wow. No
And
That's
it kind
how
of
experience.
shoots you right
instantaneous.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
shoots you right into menopause. And so she has the nighttime dills.
Oh, oh
Oh,
man. I feel it.
Oh,
I feel it.
I
Yeah.
have to laugh. I have to laugh. And I said, now you know why I was a miserable. Excuse my
Cute.
language, but
no,
that's
But
the
that's,
truth.
we
we
are. Our
know.
mood swings. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes your spouse doesn't know, like they're afraid, should I even say anything? Is it worth
Exactly.
it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
But
and
But yeah, hers
well,
are usually nighttime.
that's
nighttime.
right.
But,
Yeah.
It's
that's another thing, though, that she was so proactive to look
Yes.
for this. I mean, that's a big message we want to get out to women, is just knowing what's going on and being proactive and being an advocate for
Yeah.
yourself, for the people you love. And thank
Absolutely.
goodness. Yeah.
Because
right.
sometimes we don't get a second chance, and both Bridget and I have been very blessed with second chances. And
Hmm.
you don't take it for granted, and you can't wish it away. We
Right.
got to take care of ourselves and take care of our loved ones.
Mhm.
That's so true. And it's wonderful to hear that you're both so aware of each other that you know when something's off, like
Yeah.
something's not right. Can I ask you, and this is kind of a side thing, I know that you had a reading with Teresa Caputo. How did
Mhm.
that go? Was that amazing, or did it just
Kim Russo is amazing.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going to say.
okay?
I did the celebrity haunting, and then I did a haunting of, and Kim Russo is truly incredible, truly incredible. And that was amazing for me. And Bridget, because Bridget was in the second one with me, because we
Right.
had rented a house in Burbank, and we had these. All of a sudden, the house had been empty for like a year or so, and so we moved in. Then all of a sudden, I started noticing these handprints around the walls, like little kids' handprints. And Kim had gone up to the ranch where I grew up in Northern California, and when my mom was still alive, and did some stuff, a reading up there, and she was so right on that it was unbelievable. And so when we started having this, I contacted Kim. I said, "Oh my God, you're not gonna believe this." And I sent her pictures, and you could see even, and then it was behind pictures. We moved pictures and all these little handprints all the way to the corner, all the way around the rooms, every single room except one. And Kim said that that one room was the portal. And
Oh,
Oh my
it was,
gosh.
oh my God, the stuff that she picked up on was absolutely incredible. That's one to watch. If you want to watch a good one, watch the
you can
it's
find
either
it
the
on
haunting.
I'm
YouTube.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
you can
Yeah.
writing
find
it
it on
down.
YouTube.
Yeah, it is on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Kim is unbelievable. I just love her to death.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh. Did you
Okay.
stay in that rental very long, or were you out of
We
there?
lived there a year or two,
Okay.
and then we bought the house out here in further out uptown.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dot, thank you so much for coming on today. It was such a fun conversation, and we appreciate your time. And we can't wait to talk to you when we could be a little more specific about stuff that'll
I
keep
know.
coming
I
up.
apologize. And I
Not your
promise you,
fault.
It's not your fault. Yeah. Yeah.
I promise me, if you want me back, I'll do it again, and we can talk about everything.
Yeah, that would be so
Thank you.
exciting. We
And we're
really
so
appreciate it.
and we're so happy that you're both healthy and doing well.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. You girls are wonderful.
Well,
Thank you. Have a great
you.
day.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. All right, hot flash sisters.
Thank you.
Good thing.